Why should Republicans care about this?
Well, they should. They should care about what their constituents say. You look at the polling, Stephanie, on the For the People Act, and there is broad bipartisan support. Democrats, Republicans, and independents who all believe that our most sacred right as American citizens is our right to vote, and that right needs to be protected for all Americans. It's sad that the Republicans in Congress don't really care about that. All they care about is amassing power. And why should they, amass power? They don't do anything when they have the power other than try to, put parts of America down. We need to make sure that we are fighting for the right to vote for all Americans, because that's what makes us America. We send our sons and daughters overseas for the right to vote for other countries. I remember when we sent soldiers over to Iraq. And I remember Republicans going to the floor of the House of Representatives, celebrating the fact that Iraqis were dipping their fingers in that purple ink because they could vote, and America made that happen. Well, why the hell do we do everything that we can here in this country to prohibit Americans from voting? It doesn't make any sense. And it's only a power grab by the Republicans we can't stand for.
Well, in Manchin's case, it's not that he's against doing something on voting rights. He just doesn't like the For the People Act. He supports the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Where do you stand on that? And should you then pivot to John Lewis?
Well, listen, I'm disappointed in Senator Manchin's decision. I think previously he had supported the For the People Act, and I guess he changed. I don't know why. But we need to focus on voting rights here. I want all of our senators, Democrats and Republicans, to look at what is happening in the states. The other day, my grandma told me she grew up in Jim Crow South here in South Carolina, where she couldn't always vote. My grandfather couldn't always vote. And she was just watching news talking about the bill in Texas. And she said to me, Jamie, are they going to try to go back to the way that it used to be? That is heartbreaking, Stephanie. I can't bring up my two sons in a country that is going to go back to where we were at one time before. And so you would think that Democrats and Republicans and independents would all stand up and say, we are not going back. And so I want Joe Manchin. I want Kyrsten Sinema. I want all of our Democrats and the Republicans to understand the pain that this is bringing back up to a generation that had to go through this stuff before. That is not who we are as a nation. But we need to move forward and not move backwards.
You are someone who understands, though, what it is like to be a Democrat appealing to constituents in a pretty red state. Democrats in South Carolina or West Virginia are not the same as Democrats in New York or California. If Joe Manchin does what progressives want him to do, does he risk losing his seat?
Well, Joe Manchin needs to do what Americans want, what our senators to do, which is to protect their right to vote. Because if we don't protect that right, that is the right by which all other rights are built upon, Stephanie. And, it is the great equalizer. You could have a billionaire CEO and you can have the lowly factory worker that does the janitorial work. They have one vote and it's worth the same thing. And when you decide to take away that vote from folks, then this great experiment that we have all falls apart. And so that's what we want. We're not asking for any partisan thing. This is not, people say, well, the both sides. This is not a both sides thing. Either you are for all Americans voting or you're against it. Either you're for securing democracy or you're against it. People need to make a decision on where they are on this issue, because it's not a both sides. It's either you're for America or you're against her.
Yes, but you don't have to be for the People Act or nothing. Do you know of any conversations with Republicans on voting rights at any level, even if it's something smaller scale, John Lewis or something else?
Well, there are some discussions with some Republicans. I know Joe Manchin has even had some conversations about it as well. But then you hear Mitch McConnell come out and say, well, I don't see anything wrong with voting rights in this country. I mean, it's the most knuckleheaded thing that I've ever seen. They are criminalizing giving people a bottle of water in Georgia. Giving people a bottle of water. They're allowing political goons to go into polling precincts, mind you, precincts of people of color, to intimidate them at the polls. But he doesn't see anything wrong with voting rights in this country? What these people need to wake up. And folks need to understand that Mitch McConnell doesn't want anything that will keep Mitch McConnell from becoming the majority leader in the Senate. Everything else be damned. And so that's why we got to focus on the American people and stop the games that we're seeing right now.
You are breathing hot fire today, Mr. Harrison. I do want to ask you before you go about the economy. We have seen a lot of states ending the expanded unemployment benefits, Republican-led states, because the economy is doing so well. But we're actually seeing pressure on Democratic governors, too. Is there a different way to look at this? Could you use this as a winning message? We got out of this pandemic faster than we thought we were going to. We might not need that expanded unemployment benefit in that place. Let's take that money and put it where we need it most.
Well, listen, I think it's important to make sure that we are helping those folks who are still struggling. You can't just take a blanket approach to all of this and say, okay, I'm going to cut it off for everybody in the state, because there are families that are still going to food lines in order to get food. There are families that are still struggling. And so maybe in those states, they need to actually work with the families on an individual basis to make sure that we are helping people who the policy is designed to help. And that's the thing that this is all about. It's about delivering for those who are in the greatest need. And sometimes I scratch my head at some of these Republican governors who will want to one-up each other rather than just to help the people in their particular states. This American Rescue Plan does so much to help people. And some of these red states, I even scratch my head even more, why they're not accepting the money for Medicaid expansion. Think about the number of jobs they would create. You think about Georgia. I remember the Republicans talking about, Georgia is losing all of these jobs and this and that. Well, they could gain thousands of jobs if they just expand Medicaid, because it would be a boon for rural hospitals, it'd be a boon for the healthcare system, and it would help those folks in their states who need it the most.